The 1940s, an era where the world was at war, and the superpowered people, in their gaudy costumes, were nonetheless powerless to combat it, thanks to a German super soldier whose unique ability negated that of any superpowered person. But the war is over now. The country is in recovery. The super people have, for the most part, put away their capes and their masks, and America prepared to enter a new phase of history. It was the end of the Golden Age.
Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
Thanks for jumping into the Wayback Machine with me as we travel back 25 years to a golden age of comics known as the Bronze Age. Today we're looking at JSA, The Golden Age by James Robinson and Paul Smith. Now this was an Elseworlds series that DC had put out and then collected into a trade paperback. And if you're reading it for the first time, you may think the story is a little bit familiar. This is, of course, the story of the superheroes of the 1940s coming to terms with a world in which they are no longer needed. World War II has ended, and there just isn't the same vibe in the world for superheroes anymore. So they're retiring. Now, these are heroes who could have ended the war, but couldn't enter the war. The reason for this was attributed to Hitler having the Spear of Destiny. The Spear of Destiny being the mythical spear that pierced Christ in his side, and the public was being told that Hitler has found this, he has possessed it, and whoever has the Spear of Destiny could take control over any superpowered person who entered into Germany. Well, that was enough of a cover for people to believe, well, we don't want them getting their hands on the Green Lantern or on the Flash, so yes, it makes sense, don't let them go in there. The fact of the matter was that Germany had its own superpowered soldier named Parsifal. And Parsifal's power was that he could negate the superpower of anybody else. So our superpowered men and women would be normal people in Germany. They found this out the hard way, and they barely escaped with their lives. The government believed that the death of any of the beloved superheroes would be too big of a blow to the morale for the country, so by presidential decree, they were told to stay out of the theater of war and to operate strictly at home. But one hero did not, because not all of our masked men were superpowered. That's where Tex Thompson comes in. Tex Thompson was Mr. America, also known as the Americommando, because why have two superhero names when you can have more? His task was to infiltrate Germany as an SS officer and then learn everything he could and try to thwart the plans of the Nazis from the inside. Well, according to the press releases, he did his job so well that he managed to kill Parsifal with his bare hands, and then Adolf Hitler himself. So he gets a hero's welcome at the beginning of the Golden Age, which is told primarily through the point of view of Johnny Chambers, formerly known as Johnny Quick, who is doing a film documentary on all the heroes that have disappeared. The Golden Age is a very unique look at these heroes. This is not an optimistic look at them, nor is it the grim and gritty, pessimistic, deconstructive look that you would get with something like Watchmen. It's a very real look. You have heroes who are going through divorces. You have heroes who are having crisis of conscience. You're having heroes who find out that the reason why they have powers is something that they shouldn't want. Case in point, Our Man. A hero who gets his super strength for 60 minutes by taking a pill. We call that addiction. And Rex Tyler is discovering the hard way that it's very difficult to kick. Mr. America is beloved by the country. He is the man of the hour now. But there's more to Tex than we realize. And what he wants to do, so he says, is create a new team of heroes for the country to rally around. And he does so by bringing in some of the older ones. He finds Al Pratt, the Atom, eager to find a way to recontribute to society as a superperson. He also finds Robot Man, not the Cliff Steele version from the Doom Patrol. This is a different Robot Man. And then he finds Dan the Dynamite. Dan was a sidekick, and he is in hard times right now. He can't focus in college, his grades are not up, and he's been kicked out. But Tex Thompson sees in him a hero in the making. So he approaches him for what basically amounts to the Captain America treatment. We're going to perform some experiments on you and give you superpowers. He does this, and the experiments are successful. Thus, we're introduced to Dyna-man. And Dyna-man is the Superman of this era. This would be a world without a Superman in it, mind you. Superman didn't appear for several years after this, in this version of continuity. Ultimately, we discover that Tex Thompson is no longer Tex Thompson. Tex went into Germany, but he never came home. You see, there was another supervillain operating in the golden age of heroes, a character known as the Ultra-Humanite. And the Ultra-Humanite had an advanced medical procedure that allowed him to change his appearance by transplanting his brain successfully from one body to another. And that is the brain that is now in Tex Thompson's body. But the Ultra-Humanite shared this process. He shared it with the Germans. And if you're guessing that Dan the Dynamite is no longer Dan Dunbar, you'd be correct. Like the title of a bad 1950s horror movie, they saved Hitler's brain. And now the Overman, the most powerful hero in America, is none other than Adolf Hitler, ready to take over the world. Only some of the heroes know this truth, and it's very difficult for them to convince the others of what has happened, and it's going to take all of them to bring Dyna-man to the ground. The series serves as a nice send-off for the Golden Age heroes, putting them into retirement, and it also serves as the introduction for a new age of heroes, young upstarts that come in just at the very end, kicking off the Silver Age. All of this, again, is documented through the journals of Jonathan Chambers, the former Johnny Quick, as he is reuniting with his ex-wife, Libby Lawrence, who has just come out of a rocky and physically abusive relationship with Jonathan Law, a character known as the hero the Tarantula. I did tell you these heroes were very flawed human characters. James Robinson and Paul Smith have given us a wonderful story that truly stands up over the years. It's a story that shouts out and echoes back with things like Darwin Cook's The New Frontier. It's very similar to that. I would say that JSA, The Golden Age, is a much more layered and much more complicated and thus a much more rewarding story, whereas The New Frontier is a perfectly fine story, but it's more attracted because of its artwork and its unique style rather than the plot that went on in it. I definitely recommend that you pick up JSA The Golden Age if you have a chance. It is collected in trade paperback. It is a DC Elseworlds story, so this is not considered canon, but it does involve all the major players. This is probably the largest gathering of the 1940s heroes ever in one single adventure. It also includes some of the villains who might turn to heroes or might just temporarily be heroes. And anyway, it's worth your while. I think you should give it a shot. Hi, Thanks for stopping by for another Critical Blast video. The internet is a big place, and we know there are lots of other places you could be other than here, and we appreciate you being here immensely. If you enjoyed this kind of content, we hope you'll return for more. If you click the subscribe button, you'll get a little notification of when we produce new video content. If you would like to help the channel out, there are many ways to do so. Just visiting our main hub, criticalblast.com, will do wonders. But if you're more of a show me the merchandise type of person, there are links in the description of this video to our t-shirt shop, as well as links to Amazon for the books we publish under the Critical Blast Publishing imprint, including the urban fantasy anthology Gods and Services and the YA superhero novel Bulletproof by Stephen J. Mitchell. Thanks again for visiting this video. We hope you had a blast.